Welcome to Stoic Verz, where ancient wisdom meets modern struggle. We live in a world obsessed with more. More money, more possessions, more recognition, more status. We scroll, we compare, we crave, and yet we feel empty. What if the key to real wealth isn't about having more, but needing less? In this episode, we explore the powerful Stoic answer to a timeless question. What does it truly mean to be wealthy? This isn't a motivational hype reel. This is philosophy forged in fire, lived by emperors, exiles, warriors, and former slaves. If you've ever felt like the world is measuring your worth by your wallet, this episode is your resistance. Let's begin. When we hear the word wealth, we often think of numbers in a bank account, luxury cars, ocean view mansions, designer clothing, social prestige. But the Stoics, thinkers who lived over 2,000 years ago, saw things differently. To them, wealth wasn't a matter of accumulation. It was a matter of attitude. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, said Epictetus, but in having few wants. This wasn't a metaphor. It was a way of life. To the Stoics, true wealth came not from ownership, but from inner mastery. Not from having much, but from needing little. Not from acquiring more, but from desiring wisely. That's not to say the Stoics rejected money or success outright. Many of them were senators, generals, advisors, even emperors. But they made one thing very clear. If your happiness depends on what you own, then you are not free. And if you are not free, you are not wealthy. Seneca, one of Rome's richest men and most powerful philosophers, knew this paradox firsthand. He saw how wealth could warp a person's soul. Not because riches are evil, but because desire is bottomless when left unchecked. In a letter to a friend, Seneca wrote, "Money has never made anyone rich. You think you have money, but it has you." He compared wealth to a fever, something that possesses the person. He saw men who had everything, and yet lived in constant fear of losing it. You can have a full vault and an empty life. You can be a millionaire and still feel poor if you are enslaved by craving. That is not wealth. That is spiritual poverty. Epictetus, born a slave, later a great teacher, once told the story of a man who came to him, excited. The man had been offered a prestigious position under the emperor. He would earn a fortune, gain a title, wear a golden crown. Epictetus listened quietly, then asked, "Will you be there every time your name is spoken?" What good is your name on someone's tongue if you no longer control your own life? They may crown you in life, he said, but they'll crown you again in death with flowers. External success is fleeting. Internal freedom is forever. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, ruler of armies, ruled his mind as well. In his private journal he wrote, "We all love ourselves more than others, but care more about their opinion than our own." He had the power to command anyone, but he feared one thing more than losing land or power, losing control of his own soul. To the Stoics, the true enemy of wealth wasn't poverty. It was craving, an endless hunger for more. Seneca put it simply, "It is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the one who craves more." The poor man is not the one with an empty wallet. It's the one who cannot rest, who never feels full, who lives trapped in a loop, earn, spend, upgrade, repeat. The Stoics called this the disease of the soul, wanting without end. So what is real wealth? Is it a beach house? Or is it the ability to be content in a quiet room? Is it a sports car? Or the peace of walking freely with nothing to prove? The Stoics redefined wealth in one sentence. Wealth is not the abundance of things, it's the absence of unnecessary desire. This isn't about rejecting the world, it's about reclaiming yourself. And that begins with one question. What's your enough? In a world of infinite upgrades, asking that is revolutionary. The Stoics believed that knowing what is enough is the beginning of freedom. If you don't consider what you already have as enough, they said, then nothing you get will ever feel like it. So they trained their minds to see the present clearly, to want less, to appreciate more, not passively, but powerfully. What if your definition of wealth wasn't based on salary, but on your ability to go to sleep without anxiety? One of the boldest Stoic exercises was what they called voluntary poverty. Seneca described it like this: set aside a few days, wear your roughest clothes, eat the plainest food, and ask yourself, is this what I feared? This wasn't self-punishment, it was training, a way to test your assumptions, to break your dependence, to remember that you are strong without your comforts. Because once you no longer fear losing, you become powerful. You stop living for the illusion of control, and you start living from your core. The Stoics offered us 4 currencies that are more valuable than money: wisdom, to see clearly; courage, to act rightly; justice, to treat others fairly; temperance, to want wisely. They taught that a person who develops these is rich beyond measure, because their wealth can never be stolen, taxed, or inflated away. You can lose your home, you can lose your job, but if you keep your values, your reason, and your peace, you are still whole. Seneca once said, "True wealth is the poverty of desires." It flips the script. It says you don't need more, you need less, you need clarity, you need values, you need peace, and none of that can be bought. So how do we live this? How do we practice Stoic wealth in a noisy consumerist world? Try this. Define enough. What do you need? Not to impress others, but to live well. Write it down. Revisit it often. Do a poverty day. 1 day a month. Live simply. Eat plainly. Go without luxury. Ask, what do I fear, and is it really that bad? Pause before you buy. Ask, why do I want this? Who am I trying to become? Invest in virtue. Every night ask yourself, did I act with wisdom, courage, temperance, justice? Disconnect to reconnect. Spend time away from ads, opinions, and noise. Recenter on what matters. The Stoics didn't ask us to renounce all riches. They asked us to own ourselves before we own anything else. Here are quotes worth remembering. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Epictetus. He is most powerful who has power over himself. Seneca. It is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the one who craves more. Seneca. Make yourself wealthy not by adding more, but by removing unnecessary wants. Musonius Rufus. What you fear cannot hurt you if you have practiced enduring it. Let these words guide you. In a world chasing more, let them remind you to seek less, but deeper. Because in the end, the Stoics didn't teach us to reject money. They taught us to redefine wealth, to build a fortune inside ourselves, to stop chasing what fades and start living what lasts. So I ask you, are you measuring your wealth by what you own or by how you live? This is Stoic Verz, real stories, ancient wisdom, modern strength. If this message resonates with you, subscribe, share it with someone chasing too much, and take a moment today to need a little less. Until next time, live simply, think clearly, and want wisely.